But what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to control the news, and by news get correct data out.
Yeah.
And we want to do that more than anything else. So we get somebody comes into a shelter point, says, you know, I've got a question, ask it. I don't know, call us. Don't speculate on it, call us. If it's not on the daily briefing, if it's not covered on the daily briefing, which we've got out to them, then, and they post that daily briefing, anybody read it, you know, it's there. And then word of mouth's going to take over. You know, they're going out, and the first thing they're going to do is they're going to fire up their web screens. Just like Dave Deek used to say, you see every CB, and the CB antennas just burning off the top of cars. He'd tell the awfulest lies about people. Oh, there's 3 babies. You know, it was terrible. There was blood everywhere. He'd just tell the lies out there on the 4 lane. You go in, you just see them CB antennas lighting up. He was a little sadistic that way, but and he still grins about it. I still get in trouble about it when I see him. Oh, I like that. It was fine. But if we can solve a lot of the problems that way, and get the news out, we want to try to take the load off the 911 center. That's not their problem. They're going to have to deal with all the emergency personnel out there that are answering the questions. They're controlling the scenes. They're doing what they need to do. They're going to have to. They're going to have their hands full. We want to communicate with the public, but if the public calls the 911, we want to have them to have a place to go, and not an organized jumbled mess like we stepped into last year. And we'll start out with a daily briefing. We'll get it covered. Probably for right now, the emergency command center will be the Westview Volunteer Fire Department. We've set an extra radio up down there. We've done some other things down there. We have an ice machine there, and that old ice machine pumped out ice last year. You wouldn't believe the ice we gave out last year. We've got some other ways of stuff. The problem is we don't have any coolers available to house any large amounts of ice other than just chest-type freezers that we started bagging in advance and freezing up as much ice as we could down there. I've had some other people offer ice machines since last summer, the use of them, like the school system, they've got 4. They said there's no problem if it's summertime. No, they're not using them on it. Bag it up, go. The problem is you get people that say, we need ice and water, and you take a pallet of ice there, and in a little bit, you got water in 90-degree heat. And it all goes away real quick. So if you don't have some way of taking care of the situation and get moving it out to people. Now, the other thing is if we have, like we've had the Red Cross brought MREs down last year, meals ready to eat, we can use the shelters if they need stuff like that to get out to the people. We delivered, what, 500 of those last year, didn't we? It's 500 of them we delivered out last summer. And I had to laugh about that. Some of these places we delivered them, the women wasn't sure if they was fit to eat, so they got them out, cooked them, and ate them before they let anybody else have them. And that was all right. I mean, they tested them, and once they put their good housekeeping seal of approval on them, it's fine. If it's good enough for us to eat, we can eat it. So they tried some.
Them CEOs, they know what to do.
Yeah. But they tried them, and it was fine. I mean, it worked out. The Dave Flanagan is the Red Cross coordinator, and for this area, he's out of Fairmont. And just a second, here's that shelter list. If anybody wants to see the shelter list, there's the shelter map. I knew I had it with me. That's all the shelters in the county. But Dave Flanagan is, I may not have that, maybe in the other book. Dave Flanagan is out of Fairmont, and he's the Red Cross coordinator for this area. But, and if you call the Fairmont number, I'll have to look here in a minute for that. But he's the Red Cross coordinator for the county, and he will take care of all the different, he will take care of all the stuff through us in the county, and but he's the Red Cross coordinator, and I'm sorry I don't have that with me. Might be at the back of this book, but he, yeah, right there it is. Dave Flanagan, 304 415 9606. That's his, he's disaster coordinator, and he is out of Fairmont, and that's his cell. So that gives you a direct contact with him. And we are in the North Central West Virginia chapter, which is Barber, Doddridge, Harrison, Lewis, Marion, Randolph, Upshur counties. We're just about a swath right across the center of the state. If you want the number Fairmont up there, it's 366-2060. 304-366-2060. That's the Fairmont office. Now, if you look at everything that we've got, we put it together, we've been trying to build this up. This is the map of the shelter in the county if you want to look at it. We're going to include all this information that we've been building and compiling and putting together. We'll write the communications sector. Is this all going to work the first time we do it? No. Is it all going to, or are we going to make mistakes? Yes. Are we going to make some people mad? Yes. Are we going to please everybody? No. But we're going to do something. We're going to get something rolling, and we're going to have something going the way we can. Now, I've got a list of contact numbers for the county here of what I've used, and most of them, when I started out, are like Fire Department, American Red Cross, Central Communications, all the fire departments, the health department, the school system, the courthouse, the radio station, the state emergency command center. You know, they're all set up. They're all going to be compiled into this book so that it'll be a one-stop shopping. We hope you can find it. If you can go through and the sections are there, we can go through and do it. We've got, I think, 17 sections to this book right now. Basically, that's where we are on communications, and I'd like some suggestions. If any of you have any other things you think we might do for suggestions, I mean, we've tried to cover all the aspects of it. Did you see that? Okay. We've tried to cover all the different points in the county. We've tried to cover, I've tried to think of all the years that I've been here. We've been through the snows in the 90s. In fact, 92, the other day was the 20-year anniversary of the March 12th snow. When I got trapped at Cedar Lakes with 286 kids and 14 advisors.
Whoa.
Oh, we had a blast.
I'll bet.
I looked up and here come Matt Todd on a tractor with the grader blade on. He's just driving an old radian tractor they had down there at Cedar Lakes, and he was plowing, and the state director looked up and he said, "Should I ask?" I said, "No, you don't want to know." And they pulled buses out. They had tug of wars. They cleaned up the park. They swept everything. We was there we went down on Thursday and we got trapped there, and we got out there on Wednesday the next week. But we had a blast, and yeah, he became deputy director there. We had a county court meeting on the telephone. It was Ernie Myers was in charge, and we decided that wasn't going to be good. So, I'll tell you a funny story. I got called over to one of the cabins, and we had boys and girls both down there. It was for a competition that we did through school, and of course we had all the nurses were there, and they had this boy in bed, and he was all covered up and everything. And I said, "What's the matter?" And they said, "We think he's got frostbite." So I walked over and I pulled the covers back, and they had his shoes and socks off and everything. And he's gray, red. I mean, he met the classic. You could have taken a picture for a book with his feet. They looked like they were frostbitten. And I thought, well, I looked at the director, and he looked at me. We had a guard chopper out of Charleston we could get, and I said, "I'll talk to you outside." And I don't know why, but I reached down, checked the pulse on top of his foot, and his foot was as warm as that table right there. And I looked at him and I said, "What's the story here?" He said, "Well, Mom got me some new red socks so it looked good in my unit, and they got his new shoes and socks that got wet and faded on his feet." I said, "You get your shoes and socks on. You get your butt out of this girl's dormitory right now." I said, "You're done." And we went out and I explained to the director, he said, I thought we had a bad problem. I said, well, I did too for a minute, but when I took that pulse, I knew there wasn't. But, you know, you got problems like that, but we got through it then. We had 3 inches of snow then. And they had a special election going on here, and we just changed vehicles front and rear and went. That's all we could do for what we had to do with it. And everybody got by it. Also, that we've dealt with, and John, you need to be aware of this one, but also during one of those snows, I think the next year we had another snow, the phone system went down, and people from the outside area could not get to their family and loved ones. So they'd call in and the phone would be ring, 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 there wasn't any answer. Okay, so they would call us and say, or they call the state, and then the state would send it to us, and they'd call us and they'd say, somebody needs to go check on them. We know they're up there with no food or anything. So we had 296 contacts that we physically went with 2 people in a vehicle, chained up, and we drive up and the people say, no, but if you're coming back Tuesday, I need some smokes or something. And they were fine. We only had one person we had to move out, right, Mike? Mm-hmm. We only had one person out of all those people, all those contacts, but we had to physically do it. But the phone would ring, 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 so they were sure that they just weren't answering the phone.
We used to know how to take care of ourselves.
Well, they did.
You just kind of settled
in. They did. We got invited in for dinner. We're having so-and-so, and we, you know, we had canned this and canned that, and we got invited in for dinner, but, you know, Mike and I even stole 2 graders. We'll not tell you the story on that.
No, don't tell the story on that one.
The guy from Pocahontas County's still looking for them graders, but anyway, we shanghaied them. But my point is that, you know, we just got to make do with what we got. And, you know, we're not cut off from the world. We got Route 50. And we got a way of getting out in flooding situations because people don't realize the rail trail doesn't flood. It's up. It's never, even in the 50 flood, it didn't flood. It had some water on it at Smithburg. But you can get out in and out on the rail trail, especially going west. You can get in and out and travel. Now, you may have to cut some locks off the things, but we've done that before. But you can travel the rail trail and get in and out of here in flood conditions. Even in the 50 flood, the Smithburg was the only place that had water on it. And, but we've got different conditions that we're going to have to handle, and we've got to look at all the conditions and try to figure out what's going on. Yeah. Now, the reason I can't think of any other ways to communicate in the county. I'm sure somebody will think of one tomorrow, and if you do, tell me, call me. We're going to try to get, I'm going to do a radio thing, a spot with him on the radio, local radio, start explaining some of this stuff to the county, what we're working on, what we're going to do. Of course, there'll be a report of this in the paper. When the county court gets the plan, everybody will be talking about it, and there'll be, we'll have to put some copies available for review. But is everything right? No, because phone numbers are changing right now. I started on this in May, and I'm already updating phone numbers. So there's some, and things change daily in the county and statewide. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the best with what we got. Now, I'm not big on, I don't call Charleston and tell them we need, you know, B-52 in here for an airdrop, or you know, I don't ask for things we don't need. And when people ask for stuff and need stuff, that's what we're going to use the shelter areas for. We're going to use them as a communication point. A lot of people last summer wanted bottled water and ice because the guy down the road had bottled water and ice. But we had water plants running. Our water plant was running. Our restaurants were open. Our gas stations were open. We had everything. We had a lot of things that everybody else didn't have. And at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the water plant came back on, and the 3-phase power came on. We had 2 sides of the power, 2 phases here in West Union. But when the 3rd phase come on and everything, the diner back up, the Shell station back up, people were driving in to get ice and water off of us, and that wasn't a problem. I didn't have a problem with that. They was coming up there, and one old guy pulled in down there with a big old thing in the back of his pickup. He said, "This is for my cows. Is that all right?" "Yeah, help yourself." You know, And so, but, you know, if we got water and power, just because the guy down the road's got some bottled water, doesn't mean, you know, we're gonna get bottled water. And,
We had them come in there from the Ohio River.
yeah, they came, New Martinsville, we had one old guy came about every day. And he said, I was spreading the word. I said, good. I said, let them know. But we're going to try to get, work things out so that we can take care of everybody. And what I tell everybody is they got a problem, call me. You know, don't take a children from anybody, just call me. My skin's kind of tough anymore. I don't mind getting a children. I'll just, yes, sir, yes, sir. I'll think of you in church on Sunday. You're in good shape.
Can I ask you, do
Yeah.
you all have much space? I have some cots that we got from, we have cots that the region, because we're in with Harrison, Maude, Preston, all that. Preston County has cots and mats and everything.
How many?
I thought it was 16.
Okay, we've got some stuff. People's telling me stuff. There's a whole bunch of shelter stuff stored at Spurgeon's funeral home. Handouts at the shelters and stuff. But Mary Beth told me they're probably 1956. But so we've got to get through that this summer. Smokey told me that they've got 24 cots and mats down at the senior citizens.
Well, I'm just thinking of the shelters.
Well,
you know.
but it's like Harrison or Pittsburgh's got 200. They got a whole trailer load of them. I mean, they're in boxes, they're stacked in, and I mean, that trailer's,
It's heavy.
Yeah.
it's heavy. And they'll put it on the road, it's regional. They'll put it on the road anytime we want it. 2 times I've known in my experience that we needed something like that was twice the kids got stranded where we was going to have to keep them overnight because of the high waters. But that's the only time that we needed.
Because I know they're wanting me to get them. And
Well, if they want to get them, what we're looking for
I have a
is
place to put 'em.
the building we walk
Some of
through.
this at the school.
The building we walk through down there, as soon as we get the bathroom and stuff built in there, we're going to start consolidating stuff above the bathroom on a raised area. So it won't be down on the floor where it'll be subjected to dirt and water and stuff like that. But we're going to start, we are going to start consolidating that stuff. But there again, if we need it, we're going to have to move it to one. We've got 16 points in the county. Is every point going to need that stuff? Maybe. Senior Citizens has a dozen cots and pads. There used to be cleanup kits at the squad, but I think they went by the way in one of the transitions upstairs. Little boxes had everything in them for mops and buckets, and had the neatest little fold-up mop you ever want to see, and buckets and stuff. We'll see. That's part of the stuff that I think we'll get back when we get the shelter training done.
There's some old, looks like Army cots.
Those are Boy Scout cots.
Okay,
That's Boy Scout stuff.
yeah. They look like they're older than I am.
Yeah, probably. Me too.
Gee.
Add the two of us together and they're probably still. But anyway, point is that, yes, we're going to consolidate that stuff. Yes, we're going to do that. We've got the hazmat trailer. Smithburg Fire Department's been working on the hazmat trailer. I just got the lettering. Fort Mike just picked the lettering up in Parkersburg for it. So we have it available now, and it has a what they call a 3-line decontamination system in it, so we can deal with initial response there. We have the regional response trailer. It's based in Clarksburg. Rick Scott takes care of that. That they can put it in, and it has a major system in it, and then we have the whole regional system set up for that. So we're working the tip of the iceberg here, what we're doing. The initial response is what we're working. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to let the emergency systems do their thing, and as it trickles down, then we'll bring this into effect, this into effect, this into effect. Initially, I make the call, or Mike makes the call, or the next step in this is we'll elect officers and have a committee, and everybody will take, like you guys will probably take over the health part of it.
That's all I don't know.
Yeah, but, you know, we'll have representative from the ham
Yeah.
radio operator, representative from 911, the EMS and squad, or EMS and AA will be represented, the radio station, communications will be represented, the radio station. They'll make up a committee, that's called the emergency EOC, and actually there'll be officers, and we'll go to quarterly meetings, and we'll just have a quarterly meeting, work on anything, if anything's new, change anything like that. But I'm looking for doing that in May and instituting everything in July. If we can do that early in May, if I get this done, we get the county court to bless it, then we'll have the meeting, elect the officers, and we'll be up and running. We'll technically be in existence. So that's where we are right now. Can you guys think of any, if you think of any, let's do it that way, if you think of any other communications points or any other means of communication or any other things we need to work on that we haven't worked out, a lot of these things are already worked out through the state. The post office has already got an agreement with the federal Homeland Security, which trickles down to the state level, which trickles down to the county level, which trickles down. So the one time we needed it, I called Charleston, I said, can we send flyers with the mailman? Put it in each one of the post office boxes. He gave me a number. I walked in down there and gave him the number. They said, no problem. We had the flyers printed, took them over, and they put them in their mailbox. But it was an official thing, and that was back in '92 during the snows. And it was the first day that the mail carriers were getting out. They were starting to get out. And really, we'd have still been under snow if it hadn't been for the oil companies. Then they called and wanted to know if they could put their bulldozers on the roads to get the roads opened up to get to their well tenders to their wells. Well, they had to open the whole road up because their wells were at the end of the road. So we said, sure, we'll take your help. And then things started popping in because as soon as those graders and dozers hit the road, things started opening up out in the county because it just overwhelmed the local people. They were doing what they could to keep the main roads open. But everything's not going to be flood, everything's not going to be snow, everything's not going to be power loss. And we'll work through the problems as we get them. I'll talk to you a little bit more about your, maybe we'll visit those sites and see what we got there. We have UTVs and stuff available to get stuff to the on-site, and I have guys that just love to drive those things. But we'll work those problems out, and if you think of anything else along the way, like Paul said you had problems with that radio, that repeater up there, something's wrong with it, or he said you were going to get it repaired.
It's been repaired.
It's been repaired. That's
we are getting a stronger one.
Stronger. Okay.
Sometimes I don't know if it's the repeater or the operator.
Okay.
I have a couple people that are having operator problems, but Tammy can get into the repeater from her place out on 23. She lives across from Big Run.
Wrong Tammy.
Yeah, wrong Tammy. President Tammy. She can get into the repeater from where she lives.
Without a problem.
Yeah, I live on Battle. If I go up to my camper, I can hit it with my handheld and a homemade antenna.
Okay. Well,
the guys in town can't hit it.
You know, I was surprised at that logging accident the other day. The sheriff's department got up on the hill, actually on the scene, and they kept hollering for Unit 5, Unit 5, Unit 5, Unit 5, and I finally picked my radio up and answered him. I said, he's standing right here. He told me he got outside of what, a mile, and his rat pack in the car, he only had one of my portable. And I said, well,
Once you leave something away from the car, it doesn't work.
yeah, it doesn't work. And I was really surprised about that. And I said, well, call him on a cell phone.
He used to be able to shoot on the regular frequency of the tower.
Well,
He was probably trying to talk back to his car.
well, I don't know what he was doing, but he couldn't talk. And I just said, here, and I took the body off the hill.
Because if he had a portable radio,
I was talking fine.
he should be able to.
I told him, I said, just pick your cell phone up. I said, you got cell phone coverage on most of these hilltops.
Probably just change the channel.
Yeah, well, should have, but
He's trying to talk through his car.
that amazed me that he, you know, I said, well, I'll tell you real funny when then we'll be done here. The guy from EQT called the next day. He said, the sheriff's department told me you could tell me where that accident actually happened. We need a GPS of where the site is. And I said, well, you go to Mary Farr's on Left Fork Arnold's Creek. Mary Farr Sechrist's farm, yes, we know where that is. I said, well, then you go up the gate in front of her house, left fork of Burke Cabin, left side of Burke Cabin, you just stay on it all the way up to Peach Spring Gate. There you cross over on the head of Groves Run. Around the top of Groves Run, you can stay kind of to the right on the fence line, go all the way out to where you cross back over onto Young Run. That's Holland's property, Robert Holland's property. I said, then you kind of swing to the left, come out around the head of Rough and Ready and drop down in Young Run there. And I said, it's about 300 yards down the woods. He says, yeah, that stuff on a map?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I said, no, not that I know it. Well, anyway, long story short, there was nobody GPS that, and it was 2.5 miles away from, they were saying it was on Arnold's Creek, but it was actually 2.5 miles, it was on Bluestone. So actually through the woods and back around there and everything.
Grandmother's house we go.
Had I not, yeah, she was there. Had I not grown up there, I wouldn't have known where it was. And they didn't know where they were. They said, we followed them ribbons. And that's what they were doing. They were following ribbons.
I was looking, they're widening right away out by my house. I was out running around with four-wheeler Sunday trying to figure out how they're getting on there. Haven't figured it out yet.
Well,
Normally
most
they
of
just
And there was
them,
a
Right
few
up
places,
the-
most of
I
them, if you
wouldn't go up
figure
on
out where the
four-wheeler.
right-of-way starts is where they're getting on, because
Yep.
they have to stay on the right-of-way.
On the Big Battle side, you can't.
Well, you'd be surprised where they gotta
No,
go.
I go past there every day, can't.
They can, huh? Okay. Well, anyway, we need to think about things. Does anybody got anything else we need to bring up tonight, or we need to talk
Is
about?
the website is already up and going?
No,
not
it's
yet.
to be constructed. In fact,
It's on the agenda.
it's on the agenda for the next meeting, and on there, I'm going to, under our link, is what I'm going to start listing all my stuff. All this stuff that's in here will be on our website, the list of shelters, the contact points to shelters. I'm not going to list anybody in charge of that, because what I hope to do if we get all this approved is I'm going to visit like the Oxford Grange. I'm going to get a list of people. I've got like Smith Community, I've got a list of people out there with contact numbers. And, you know, and then I've got people calling in that's saying, oh, if you're going to put a generator on it, you can use my home as a, I said, no, that's no way. But like the FRA of Smithburg, they come in, in fact, they brought a $9,000 check. They said, we got money to put towards the generator. But they've got 2 entrances, so we're trying to get, it's a little different electrical situation there when you've got 2 feeds. But I'm going to try to get a list to put with contact points at each shelter. And that's one thing we'll have to update, because, you know, things change and people come and go. But a lot of the central points, like the fire stations, they're there and they're not going to move. I mean, you know, they're going to be pretty much the same thing all the time.
Well, if it's flood, you have to watch out for Centerpoint.
Well, you can't get to it. You can't get to it. It's like Centerpoint floods out. Banks has had water in it. One of the toughest things we did back in '85 was listen to was that '85 when they had 3.5 foot of water in Centerpoint? We said, we're taking our radio, leaving the building. We'll be on portables. And you know what do you do? There goes your fire station. It's full of water, and that's your main contact point in the area. So we go from there to you know, go out and check on them the next day and make sure they're still there. But luckily, we're headwaters. The water comes up quick and goes down quick. It doesn't stay very long.
Now, did Roland find out or do or give you any idea of those radios that was in that one trailer?
No idea. We had the guy look at them. He said they weren't narrowband, they weren't usable. So he said dispose of them. He said give them to a amateur radio club. They'll make use of them.
So that's what I was wondering, because the one radio you said nobody was sure what it was.
Nobody's sure.
And at one time, Roland said he was putting a 2-meter in that trailer.
Don't have a clue. And we don't, like I said, we got some different things going on. We don't have all of our radios aren't compliant down at the firehouse yet. We've still got 2 that aren't narrowbandable, and we're going to have to replace
Well,
them.
this one isn't compliant for talking to Central, but it's my personal one. I got
Well,
some ham stuff on it.
I don't think they're going to be running around, Federal Communications Commission going to be running around checking anybody for a year or 2 now after that. And I think that my dealings with a lot of these dealers are, I think they went a little overboard trying to make extra money on installations and stuff. And we just got a radio in 2006 on a grant from the federal government, and they walked in and said, nope, no good. Now, I mean, you know, 2006, you think, we got a 30-year-old radio down there. There's on my truck, it's still working, and it's the best radio we got. And they said, nope, no good. It's a crystal operated radio.
Mm.
So. But they had to all comply and, you know, so we just, and they sell us in, what, 6 years, Mike? We're
Yeah.
gonna do it again,
I'll do it again.
Cut it in half.
cutting it in half again, so. But a lot of places are going totally to cell phone operation. I have a friend of mine that's one of my former students is down in Huntington, and they don't have radios in their trucks now. Everything's put out on cell phone. They all operate off of cell towers. And they say it's more private. It's, you know, they get what's called a group call, and that gives everybody an ear bug or whatever they call it. And they
But you have to
go,
have cell service first.
well, you're in Huntington, Huntington.
Yeah, but that Dodge County.
No, you're not going to do that. That's what I'm saying.
Lord,
Yeah.
no.
But a lot of things, and that's what's
I don't
wanting
have
to.
to worry about the phone ringing at my house.
No, that's right, you don't have to, seriously. It's like Saturday mail delivery, they don't realize in the city what it means to the people that live out in the rural areas.
I'd have to move up to a well site.
Yeah, I'd have to move on top of the hill. You know, my son-in-law and his wife bought me my daughter and her husband bought me one of those boosters for the house, and I got cell coverage all over my
That's
yard
what
now.
they say you get one
Yeah,
of
it
those.
really
Boosters, what,
was.
But they're
$200-$300?
expensive.
Under regular.
They're
What,
expensive.
$200-$300?
Are they?
You
Yeah.
gotta register it with your cell provider and.
You
Do
do.
you? I did.
Well,
Well,
we just started that. I
Just-
think you're not gonna make it if you had it. I think.
Well, grandfathered me in, I've been grandfathered a lot, so.
Been grandfathered a lot of things.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I mean, that does work because even out, I built a pole building, I was out working in a pole building myself,
Yes,
actually
you
works
are.
out there now.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, if we can't think of anything else, I thank you for coming out. I wanted everybody to see where we were and where we're going. Do you have any more on the, one other thing before we go, do you have any more on your tabletop when it's gonna be or anything?
No, I was kind of waiting on,
We're good to go anytime you
you
want.
good to go? Okay. Well, I'd like to have, get something together next month
Okay,
to talk to, well, matter of fact, I'm going down and talk to you guys, the ham, on the 25th.
okay,
I'm gonna talk with them, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not from the area, but I'll tell you what, I'm just totally amazed, when we had that H1N1, now I'm not real good at putting things together, but when we did that, people come out and helped us, it was just amazing.
what we're talking about is, they've gotta have a mock disaster,
And I like to do that because I'm leaving in October,
okay?
so at least we can get it together.
Ricky, you
Debbie
won't
can-
Huh?
I think if Ritchie County is using Drake here.
Well,
There's a disaster.
as a disaster, but what I suggested to her was, they've got some money, and what they wanna do is, we're gonna have a tabletop.
All right, Ritchie County, then we had the disaster.
Yeah, but we're gonna have a tabletop at the Cottage Corner Restaurant, and they're gonna feed everybody. And what we got a
You have to be a lot of
captain.
people when you do that.
Huh?
That's,
You'll
I did.
That's right, you put food in, I told her, I said, you put food in the mix, you'll get it
That-
done.
Joyce, was you there the
I wasn't
time?
there the last one.
Last one we had, we had over 100 people,
Well,
the health department, just.
what we're wanting to do is do a tabletop sometime early in the spring, May or June, and talk over the problem. We're gonna walk through the problem, actually do it up front. And then in the fall, we're gonna do a mock disaster, and we're leaning heavy towards a chemical spill at the high school. We've got a
The
lot
jail
of.
needed to do one too. Did they get those?
I don't know. They talked to me, they called me about it, and I told them what we tentatively talked about, and so that was an alternative. We could do something down there too. That sergeant, what's his name, keeps bringing his bottles up to get them filled.
Elder?
Carter,
First Sergeant Elder now.
Quarter, maybe he's corporal. Anyway, somebody gets mad down there, and they go through and open all the bottles, and he has to run out and get all these bottles filled in his air packs. He's aced them because we've got spare bottles, and he just comes and trades them out, and it makes them mad, so they pretty well quit doing it. But he talked to me initially about it, and I said, you know, if you're interested, we'll get you involved in this. We've talked about mass inoculations. We've tried to cover all the problems that we can cover here, and we've got some buildings spotted for doors in and doors out in space, and
We did that health department one time, and we didn't even have them getting out of the car, we just had them go around the square.
we
Stop in
can.
front of the health department, get your shot and move on.
Well, we can do that. See, we're talking about our secondary building down here that we We got one way in, one way out. We could even do them in the car.
Yeah,
We've got parking lots.
They do it a lot.
that's what we did.
You'll be all right until somebody sticks their butt out the window.
Many years we've been in healthcare. no
Yeah, the
problem.
bigger needle.
It's like $1, another buck.
There you
How
go.
about a taser for that one?
Yeah, taser. I don't know, think we could borrow one off the police for that?
Pat, sometime, I'm gonna be off the next week, but I'll give you enough time. Come up and look at some of the stuff that the region said we needed to buy. Oh my goodness, I've got these battery pack things that you put a hose in, put a suit on, or put it around your head. I don't know if I would know how to use that. But that would be something that
Containment suits,
you
but
guys-
we've got them already.
I know, and I've got like, $6,000 worth of that stuff.
They, I'll tell you something,
Who make 'em?
when I first
do
took
that.
over
You
this,
guys do that.
when I first took over, way back in the 72, I think, or 73, I first took over OES director here in the county. Well, J.C. Owens was the one going out, and I took it over from him. And they called me from Charleston, told me I had to go inventory stuff, and I said, what do they got? They said, well, you got a shelter, established shelter. I said, where we got an established shelter? And they said, well, Douglas County High School on Stewart Street. So I said, well, okay. So I went down, talked to the principal. He said, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff down in the basement. I went down outside the basement, outside where Coach Stansberry's in the home ec room was, stacked in the hallways was boxes. They had crackers from 1950 stored in cans up there and stuff.
Whenever they had the sale, they still had some of that stuff.
And there was,
Oh my.
you know how many people were slated to go to that high school? 18. That's all it would hold. Because it was all nuclear and it was all below ground, and they had nuclear signs in there, they had all this stuff. And I'm saying, who's gonna stand out front and tell the first 18 people you're in and the rest of them's out? I said, it ain't gonna be me. So we got rid of that
So
stuff
how
pretty
did
quick.
how did they figure nuclear with all the glass there?
Well, it was below grade.
Yeah, we built all the buildings back then for glass.
Well, I'm just glad that you have decided to help doing this, because there for a while was the health department having to do, and I know nothing about any of this stuff. All I know is